Hello there, I'm William, and I want to show how to set up a SoundGrid wave server using a custom hardware. And first let me show the hardware that I'm using. I'm using a motherboard from Gigabyte, this particular version in here, the GA-H81M, which works with Intel processors. From what I understood, AMD is not supported. I haven't tested, but I do plan on testing because I have another board that I use for my main computer that's AMD based. And just to clear it out, I'm going to test it out too. But this one works. Already tested, and I'm going to refresh just to show in this video how to do it step by step. So all this information I'm going to put on the video description, the motherboard type, the processor here. So this is the motherboard, just in case you want to take a closer look, but I have also made a video showing it up. And I'm using the Intel Core i5 4570, which is a 3.2 GHz base frequency, because the turbo frequency we don't really going to be using, because most of the time it's going to go to all the 4 cores that this processor has, and is going to max out at 3.2. I don't know if this can be overclocked, but I'm not going to bother because it's already running great for me. And this way I can keep it cool. And for memory, I just used the 1600 memory. I think it shows it's listed here somewhere, but it's DDR3 1600. And it works really great. I'm using a dual channel, so I put 8 gigabytes in total. So it's 2 slots, each one running with 4 gigabytes. So that speeds up the processor a bit. Always do that, because this way you are getting the best performance out of the memory possible, because you're still going to use the memory. Yes, everything is going to be done in the processor, but you're still using the memory to upload the stuffs that need to be processed, so you still need a lot of memory bandwidth. So don't just put one stick, put 2 sticks of the same size, and a total of 8 gigabytes is enough, from what users have told me on the forum, so it should not be a problem. Anything else is just going to be overkill. I'm using the Intel graphics for the video output, just to boot and test, and before and after that, you don't need a keyboard or a monitor anymore. And for the network interface, I'm using a gigabit switch. Because this you get your main computer, your SoundGrid computer, and you connect both to this one using proper gigabit connectors. You have to be careful with that, so otherwise it's not going to be a gigabit, it's going to fall back to 100 megabit, and maybe it's not going to be able to run a lot of plugins, and it's also going to add a bit of latency. It's just a bit, not a lot, so don't worry too much. You can test if you want, but since those switches are like $20, it's just better to just add one, and then you connect the internet, your internet router, to this guy, and you're going to be connected everything correctly. So let's see. You have the processor, the motherboard, which is this version, and it runs on Realtek network. Because the most important thing here is the type of LAN. The LAN and the network. Because mostly it's going to work only with Intel-based ones. But this particular one has a Realtek that's compatible with SoundGrid. So that's the most important thing. Another one is the processor, because I heard from a few people that some processors are not compatible. So soon I'm going to post on the forum and also on the Facebook group information on which processors are compatible, which motherboards are compatible, and stuff like that. And then that's pretty much it. Now you just need a pen drive. I got a 16 gigabytes pen drive, just a very regular one. And then you download RUFUS, also in the description. And you select the pen drive. In this case, is my G drive. If it doesn't appear, maybe because the pen drive is not being formatted or partitioned or something like that, then you have to Google how to partition and format a pen drive. But usually when you buy from the store, it comes pre-formatted with FAT32 or something like that. So now for boot selection, I'm going to select the Sys Linux 6.04. Then the rest are going to leave like this. I'm not going to mess with the default settings. And just click Start. It's going to warn me about the data. I'm going to lose all the data. Multiple properties, no problem. Just click OK for everything. And it's also going to download the Sys Linux if you don't already have for RUFUS, which is this program here. I already had, so that's why it's not downloading. And it's going to take a bit of time for that. And as it does that, let me show you the extra files that you need to download. I'm going to put also the link on the description. All these files in here, you have to extract to the pen drive, to the most root folder. Let's wait for it to complete. Usually it's very fast. So what else can I say? Then the next step is to download SoundGrid. You have to go to the website and download SoundGrid, and also the... Okay, now I can close. Ready, and now I can close. It's done. There's nothing more that I need to do in there. So now I just have to copy these guys to my pen drive. So my pen drive now is ladder number I. I'm just going to copy there. And let's see if it's going to copy to the root folder. The main folder. I don't know how to call that. So okay, it's copying now. Another thing that you don't have to worry after you have set up the server is how to turn it off. You just put a switch or get a power supply that has a switch for on and off, and you just use that. You don't have to shut down or anything, because Sys Linux loads into RAM, and that's all you have to worry about. Let's see if I can eject from here. Eject. Okay. So now I can take... Okay, let's boot this guy up. So I made a video of it booting, so I don't have to switch video cards in here. So this is the Motherboard I'm using. Sorry for the shake video, but I have shaky hands due to the medication that I take. And I'm just going to switch to the VGA on my monitor. If you have a monitor with multiple inputs, try to use the VGA just for the SoundGrid, just to know if it's booting and stuff like that, because you're not going to need it anymore, ever. Everything is going to be done by the master computer. So, okay, now I'm trying to turn it on. Okay, now it's on. Just my CPU cooler is a bit noisy, but I plan on making it run a bit slower. I have to check how to do that, because it doesn't need to be running like that. It's running at 30 degrees Celsius, and it could be running a bit hotter, but slower. It's not a big deal. But best is just to get a new cooler that's silent. Anyway, it's booting. You can see that the last thing is press enter to activate. You don't need to press enter. Just leave like that. It's done. It's ready. So let me close this video. That's my computer on the wall. I plan on doing let me show again. Oh, this is very neat. I put the computer on the wall because it's easier to clean, easier to see things that are wrong and stuff like that. So, okay, let me close this guy up, and now let me run the SoundGrid Studio. You always do like this. You turn on the SoundGrid server, you check how many seconds it takes to be ready, then you know how long it takes to boot up. Maybe I'm going to do an Arduino card that I plug into the computer. It tells me if the time has passed or not, so I don't have to be counting. And then you turn on SoundGrid. And since this is the first time I turn it on, it founds a server. You can see here, found server. Add a SoundGrid Studio. Yes. Assigning devices. Let me see if I can go to setup already. Yeah, I can go to setup. But what I like to do is click on auto config. So auto config start, configure, and next. That works best for me. Because now I have to connect the SoundGrid Studio to the server and also set up on the computer. Because for me, using the sound card that I have, which is not a audio interface, it's just a sound card from ASUS. I just select the sound card here. ASUS Shonar, I don't know how to call that, but it's a sound card from ASUS. Okay, you need an ASUS card driver. So if you don't have one by your sound card, you have to install ASUS for All, and then the ASUS for All is going to connect to the interface or sound card or wherever. You just need ASUS. That's just how it works on this particular setup. If there's another way to set up, please do let me know, because I didn't find any other way to set up, and I'm going to do another video and put on the description, also put a card on this one. So if you don't see a card on this one and I don't see anything in the description, it's because this is the only way to go. So okay, I'm going to put my ASUS card in here, and that's done. Now you can see here on the top the sampling rate. If it's red, it's because there's something wrong. The link is up. If it's not up, something is wrong. The speed, if it's not 1 gigabits, it's showing 100. Try to check your cables and your switch and your router and everything you can. Because if you're connecting to your internet router, most likely it's not going to be a gigabit router. Most likely it's going to be 100 megabits. And it's not going to be the best thing ever for this situation. Now you can go to the server. You can see there's a FW showing up in there. That means that there's a firmware update for it. So let's update it. And this is going to take a bit. Let me drink some water. Just a second. Okay, done. Wait while the server reboots. So I can check on my monitor if it's rebooting or not. But as soon as it does, it's going to be ready. Now I can check on device. It shows there my processor is still rebooting. That's why it's on safe mode. As soon as it's finished rebooting, it's going to show correctly. But it shows my i5 there. 3.2 gigahertz. The server network buffer, I can adjust that if I want. It's using the lowest possible option because I already tested and it works great. and it shows here information, the version of it. Let me see if the device is still in boot mode. Weird. Let me check. Let's see what's going on in my other monitor. Oh, it's still booting. Maybe because it's doing some other stuff, that's why it's taking longer. Still in safe mode, but it's booting correctly. Oh, now it's doing the fast boot. I think it was still updating. So it's nice to have it set up to another monitor while you test things out. But after that, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So there's just a lot of Linux stuff that shows up. Now it's ready, okay. Still safe mode, why? Let me click rescan parts again. Because I remember the first time I did that, took a bit of time to update. But after that, it was very quickly to turn it on and stuff like that. Okay, now it's updating. Devices. Okay, now it's correct. No longer showing the safe mode. Takes a while. So the first time you update and do everything takes a while. But the next time is very quick. Now I can see that it's using my Sonar ISO. The network drive buffer I also like to put as low as possible. And then if I go to setup, I can set up my ASIO controller for this sound card that I have. I put it as low as possible and it works really great. Driver channel 32, driver network. So, okay, now the SoundGrid is going to take care of my audio. You can use the mixer if you want, but I'm not going to go into the mixer video right now because I still don't know how to use it. So I just don't know use it. I just fire up Sound Studio, and from there I use everything from there and have Sound Studio One, sorry, to output to the wave, to the SoundGrid wave driver. But before, as Studio One turns on here, boots, I'm going to show another thing that you have to do. You have to patch now. You have to click device to device, and I took a screenshot of what I need to do. So this is what I need to do. I need to run from my local machine to my ASIO driver. So local machine to my ASIO driver. So channel 1 to channel 1, channel 2 to channel 2. So now anything that comes from the local SoundGrid driver goes through my ASIO output. So that way I can have my Sound Studio outputting correctly with the same driver. I heard some people using the same driver on Studio One and SoundGrid Studio. There are so many names. Using the same driver, but my particular card, the one that I want to use, doesn't have a share option for the driver. There is a share option on Studio Grid, but it didn't work for me. Let me open again. If I go here in the setup, there is a share option here for the sound card, for the ASIO driver, but it doesn't work because the driver doesn't have compatibility for that. So now here on my Studio One, I just select Audio Device, SoundGrid. And if I click Control Panel, it shows the SoundGrid device panel for the SoundGrid ASIO connector, which is this guy here. if any of the option I press is going to show me the 2 milliseconds. But I can't show the sound because I can't record the sound with my screen capture. But I can show you what's going to look now. So let me load a small project that I did with the Studio Rack. It'll take a while to load. So as I put in the description, don't forget to download the files for the server. SoundGrid Studio, a Studio Rack, which is the plugin that you're going to be using for everything. And you can also use the mixer if you want. I haven't, but I plan on testing to see if there's any advantage for that. So here my performance display on Studio One, and I'm using on 3 channels in here. The first time you play, you can see that nothing's happening, because it takes a bit of a time for things to sync up. Because Studio Grid has to send information to the server and stuff like that. Now it's playing. I can hear on my headphones because the ASIO is connected to another card on the headphones. So there is sound coming out. So you can see now I have a 31% usage on SoundGrid. You can go to SoundGrid here and see 8 voices. Each voice is a sound channel. So each stereo output for a plugin takes 2 channels. Mixer offline. I don't know what happened now. Something happening on the network. But it's working. I haven't had any dropouts with this setup. It works great. Latency is very low. And great thing about Studio One is that if I want to play something with very low latency, using that 2 milliseconds latency, the Studio One has an option that's going to bypass all the effects, and I can play what I need to play. And then I disable the audition of the instrument, and it puts the effects back, because you can see that it's still adding a lot of latency to each effect on my overall, I don't know how to call that, sorry. But anyway, it's working very well. So the first time you load up Studio Rack, you can see here this Wave Studio Grid, I think that, no, Wave SoundGrid. The clicking here is going to show some information, everything's operational, okay. And if you click here on SoundGrid, I can put everything to native, and it's going to rise my CPU usage in here, so it will raise it to around 34%. But at any time I can go and put switch out to SoundGrid. Then it goes down to 8%. So I can use other stuff on my local machines, like instruments. So the idea is to leave all instruments in the machine and effects in the SoundGrid, or just the mix and mastering done with the SoundGrid. Because I had projects that even on this machine, which is a 8-core machine, 16 threads, even on this machine I had problems when doing the mixing and mastering because I used too much plugins. Especially when you have one channel using a lot of plugins, because those extra cores cannot be used in parallel. That's impossible. If someone tells you that it's possible, it's a lie. Because you have to process one block of samples for the effect and then go to the next effect, because it's in series. There is no way to do this in parallel. It could be done, let's say, left and right channels in parallel, but a lot of plugins will not allow that, because you need to process things at the same time. But so in any event, if if you add a lot of plugins in one studio rack, you're going to see that very quickly you lose all the processing power. But then you start to add into the second channel, you see that nothing's happened because it's using the second core. In this case, I have 4 cores on the SoundGrid and 8 cores on my main machine. So if you look here, you can see the 4 cores are showing up there. But this particular example in here, it is not really very accurate, because I have seen all the green guys in here all to the top because I was using one channel, so it was showing just one core. And I don't know how exactly this works, but what I can trust is the percentage in here. So if I start adding more and more stuff, especially heavy stuff. So I'm adding this guy. Can I copy and paste? No, I can't. Reverb. Reverb is the ones that really kills everything. On this particular machine, I was able to run more than 40 plugins, so it was very, very nice. So, okay, this is pretty much it. So I think that's clear and it's now easy to use. In another video, if I can, I'm going to mess up with the mixer to see if there is any advantage on using the mixer for these particular situations. And if you have any questions, just leave some comments. And also check the video description for everything that you need. I'm going to update it as needed. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you can contribute to the channel using the links on the description. So that's it. Thanks for watching.